All right, let's get into our first discussion now. INEC Chairman Mahmoud Yakubu says the rise in the numbers of political parties, voter population, and the high cost of logistics are some of the reasons for increase in the 2019 election budget.
INEC had in 2015 requested for 120 billion naira for the general election and is now requesting for 189.2 billion naira to conduct the 2019 polls. Well, that proposed budget for 2019 has an increase of about 69 billion naira compared to the 2015 election budget, an issue that has been causing a lot of controversy in the polity.
And just 179 days to the 2019 elections, INEC is still faced with the funding challenge as the National Assembly is yet to approve its budget. Okay, that's a strong one this morning. But Cyril Abak was still in the studio. He is a senior researcher with TVC. And we have joining us now the Executive Director, Socio-Economic and Rights Accountability Project, SERAP, Adetukumbo Mumuni. Good morning.
It's a pleasure being
Nice to see you.
Good morning.
Right. All right, let me start with you, Adetukumbo. First of all, even before I go into the issue of how much is budgeted for food and budgeted for dogs and horses and all of that for the election, INEC, National Assembly reconvening has been a controversial issue right now, and senators are still meeting, party leaders are still meeting to see how they can make National Assembly reconvene so they can consider INEC budget. How likely is that really in the face of things right now?
Because people in the National Assembly and the members of the executive are interested in election. They will, one way or the other, find a way to meet. I'm sure about that. Because these are things that must be done. And something has to happen and it must be done. It's as simple as that. Eventually, you see that in the next 1 week maximum, the National Assembly will meet. Whether it will now lead to what we have been hearing, change of leadership, that's another matter, but they will meet first.
And of course, anyway, they had a joint session, you know, the committees of the House of Representatives,
the committee on INEC and election affairs, they met separately. So what is needed is now that the National Assembly will now meet so that they will now have a convergence of thought on what should be done.
All right, now, like we said in our intro, because Nigerians had been questioning why there's a huge difference between how much was spent in 2015 and what is being proposed to be spent next year. What new things are they adding to it that is making the budget so high?
That is the problem that I have. If you say you requested for so amount of money in 2015, and you are now requesting for an additional 69 billion naira. So one has to look at the totality of the suggestions. You see, I don't believe in whole lump sum of money. If you say you want 69 billion extra, you have to tell us what was it that was in the 2015 budget that is not there, that will now appear there. You now have to justify because to me 69 billion is such a huge amount of money, and it's not enough to say it's 69 billion naira extra, but you have to concretize and specify what this extra 69 billion naira is needed for. That is what is important in our climb, where when anything happens, people are bound to be carrying rumor that whatever. So one has to be specific.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right, Cyril, same question to you, well, this time around. Excuse me. Knowing that INEC wants to do the right thing, of course, by the law, by the people, to conduct credible election by 2019, as is that's promised. And then, you know, releasing the timetable seems close to a year now. You know, Nigerians have been aware that election will come up in 2019 by February and all that. You think that any amount is good enough for a good conduct of credible election?
Any amount is not good enough.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, what the Constitution says is that for any election to hold, it must hold before 30 days to the expiration of the tenure of the person that is going to be leaving the office.
Okay.
And between that February and whenever we are going to do the new inauguration, we have 7 weeks. If we need a little more time to critically re-examine Because I've read some articles online, I've tried to look at what INEC is proposing. They're talking about people who are visually impaired coming to vote, and then they're talking about all kinds of components. But my concern is that even if INEC is claiming that what they need for the election is 189 billion, and that the difference is for security. Are you aware that at the defense of this budget, the police actually was not summoned? So the burden is entirely on INEC. They are the ones who are proposing this figure to Nigerians. That claim to try to separate 189 from the difference is a story for the bets, actually. The budget of 242 whatever billion naira is on INEC. And so the question is that if you want to spend this amount of money, assuming that these components about talking about the fact that they want to hold simultaneous elections in Abuja, that they've added 17.1% extra voters are added to register from what they had in 2019 and so on, is fine. But my concern is that what were the internal accounting mechanisms or processes that led to these figures, as he has asked? We need to probe deeper. Because if you're going to use taxpayers' money to conduct the elections, 242 billion naira is a far cry from where we were in 20. If you look at the addition from 2011 to 2015, it was reasonable. Even this claim to increase in PMS, we've had increases in PMS before. So you cannot just, I mean, you can't wake up to say that you're going to spend so billion to feed this one, so million to feed us. Nigerians, they quest, and you see, it is this lacuna of information that makes rumors, that makes what they suppose is not the truth to thrive. Until that lacuna is fixed, is fed, we will continue to hold these assumptions, and you cannot blame us for holding assumptions, because 242 billion naira, I mean, whoever hears it, 6 billion, something billion, 18 billion. Don't
the amount so called is quite easy to mention. And 30 billion, 60 billion, 6 billion. We're talking about money here.
You know, we had an INEC chairman in 1983, Fedeco, that said, if I see 1 million naira, I'm going to die. No. He said he was going to faint or so.
Was it whiskey, yes. The earlier one, yes.
That's if he saw 1 million naira, because he had been accused, that he had taken 1 million naira to rickshaw Shagari back to power. And he said, if I see 1 million naira, I'm going to faint. But today, these billions are banded up, and you wonder where they're going to come from.
All right. Let me come to Abdulmumini here. The point there is, a lot of people still see that there's a possibility, or not a tendency, but there can be a possibility that money is meant for other things can be padded into the INEC budget. Now, is it really likely that there can be massive corruption in this whole INEC thing?
And you see, that is why I say this our president who says my watchword is integrity, probity and accountability must watch his back. The truth of the matter is that the president may not know the details of what is happening, but he has to fix people to actually know whether this amount that is being demanded is needed for the purpose for which it's said. Because that is very, very important. You see, you cannot say, I'm for probity and for accountability, and people under you and beside you and in front of you and at your back do all manners of things because they know that your integrity is taken for granted by Nigerian people. So what I say is that the president must ensure that whatever amount that is proposed will actually be for election purposes. If there are other things that must be done, they have to come under various other sub-heads, not necessarily elections.
And then it seems that, like you said, for this administration, transparency has always been its watchword.
Yes.
So there is need for Nigerians to know truly what these monies will be spent. But INEC seems to be doing maybe justice to it, maybe not, though Nigerians are not satisfied. For example, it is saying that maybe about 6 billion naira would be spent to feed police officers during the election. And then someone was asking me, the same police officers that we see are not well treated, are not well paid, and then the government is ready to spend 6 billion naira on them just for feeding for that period of general election. And then you begin to wonder, really, like he just asked, will these monies be expended on the items that have been listed for the 2019 general election?
You see, all that we must continue to do, which is our business as citizens, is to continue to raise questions until they answer us to our satisfaction. That is, you see, when people that are of good faith keep quiet in matters that concerns them, then you give people with deliberately ulterior motive the room to fester and to preponderate. So we have to come to ask them, because this is democracy, we have to know what is happening. We believe in the integrity of the head of government. Are we so trusting of the integrity of others beside, around, at his back or his front? That's the question.
And then the fair, really, want to ask a question?
Yeah, one of the issue is the discrepancy between the amount fronted by the federal government and the one by INEC. The figures don't seem to agree. What do you think is in the center of that?
The damage control was not well handled. So we have to just leave it at that. But for me, you see, I'm interested in taking these items one after the other. Mike, we're looking at
No, but that is what Nigerians want to
yes,
do
now. Election technology cost 27.5 billion naira.
Okay.
When elections failed in Kenya, we knew the company that made it, that designed the technology for them.
And Kenya used computer-based
Of course they did. It
system.
happened in Sierra Leone as well. The question is, in a country where we have seen people go to vote, when you go to the polling station and you put your hand on the card, we saw some candidates. I can give you up to 4 or 5 of them now. You put your hand in the card reader.
Yeah, didn't read.
When it fails, you fail. You, in fact, as their fingers failed, they went on to also lose election. But that is by the way. my concern is this, Mike, if 27.5 billion naira is going to sort out card reader failure, because I said it's technology cost, we don't know what it is. It is an embarrassment. In a nation, if you went to some bank ATMs, is your finger. You can just do a transaction and you go away. It's not like it failed. So why are card readers still failing up until now? Elections are like the holy grail of democracy. Yes. That is like the ritual, and it comes once in 4 years. So whatever we can do to get it right cannot be said to be overdone. If up until now card readers are still failing, it's an embarrassment on INEC. In fact, we have to say that election didn't meet up to expectation. So if the technology cost is intended, and I have to repeat, intended to make sure that card does no longer fail, the question is this: are they changing contractors?
So that those that have been supplied will not be the same.
I was talking about internal accounting mechanisms. We need to know.
Because if you are going to use the same card readers, why that amount?
4.6 billion naira, Mike, for contingency. And I'm asking myself, the election will enter Sunday. We do it on Saturday. Suddenly they go to somebody's house and borrow a generator. We have seen this happen over and over again.
Exactly.
It should not. You are
In fact,
compromising the
Nigerians
process.
volunteered their generators.
Yes,
You are compromising the process. So the question, and look, for me, you see, the time has come when we say that the Nigerian, whatever, food and agricultural organization or whatever, should employ caterers. Let's find a way to make sure that, look, we can plan this thing. It's all a plan. I commend Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, who has brought out election dates up until 20, whatever. You see, what is required is interagency synergy and planning. We can feed ourselves. Because in the end, for that money you're going to use to feed policemen, your money should be given to contractors, or maybe you must give it to the policemen. But if restaurants won't operate on those days, it means that you're likely going to hire contractors. Why can't this money go back within government? So these are the questions. Planning is good, but the figure is humongous and unconscionable, and we must keep on asking these questions, like you have said.
All right. Okay, population has increased, number of political parties have increased. From 68, we now have 91 political parties. And all of this combined with the issue of logistics supposed to jack up the cost. Now, let me come to you, Abdul Muni, on this issue of number of political parties. Nigerians are really asking, is it really that all the political parties, the new ones, for instance, didn't find anything, or they have something so different from what has been existing before that they all have to register to have more political parties, where we're having 91 political parties right now?
my idea of political party system in Nigeria is that we probably don't need more than 2 main parties and maybe some other 5 fringe parties. That we have to have 91 parties, I don't know how it is done. But let me tell you, a lot of the known politicians would also go under and finance the registration of these new political parties, so that when their private personal interests are not taken into consideration in the main parties, they will now fall. If detailed investigations are done about these parties, you will know that you find
Their fronts.
Yes. So I don't think we need more than 20 political parties.
Yeah, but going forward, do you think that somehow they're going to fizzle out on their own?
I even think that once elections are conducted and you are not the whole of Nigeria and you say you are a registered political party, you cannot even get 5,000 votes. I think you should just be cancelled.
So perhaps the law guaranteeing procedures for forming political parties could be reviewed because democracy has to grow, so to say.
Exactly.
In the US, there is, you have so many parties in the US, but the reason why the Republicans and the Democrats will continue to, I think it even has something to do with the media, your reach, your ability. So where we are in 1999 is no longer where we are today. Look at this, what INEC is telling us now. They're going to spend 134.4 billion naira for election operations cost. Mike, listen. And then another 22.6 billion naira for election administrative cost. You know, one thing you notice with civil servants is that there are many names for nothing.
Yes.
And there are many nothings for me. So there is election operations cost on the one hand.
There's administrative
and they're
cost.
All in they're all in billions.
Exactly.
Billions. What I think we should do is that, you see, somehow I think INEC under maybe Professor Abel Gubadia actually had the vision of saying that, look, only the AD, the APP and the PDP should remain that time. We were Ghanaian that went to court, to the Supreme Court, and contested INEC's position, and INEC lost. That was how so many parties. So sometimes, from time to time, INEC will say they have the registered social number party because it become moribund. What these parties do is that they're in the portfolios and teacups. 2 weeks election, they say 58 parties have endorse one candidate. Billions are flowing into their pockets. That's fraud. Now, what we need to do is to make sure that, look, we raise the bar on who can form, on what forming a political party should entail, and then I don't know how we are going to do. Perhaps these things also have to grow organically. I don't know, but you see, the lack of ideology in the parties is part of the problem, because someone like Obafemi Awolowo would say that this is what I want to do for Nigeria. If you want to do it as government, take it and do. This is my policy document. I must not be the one in government to
implement it.
But while we are in the party, no internal democracy. While we are in the party, the rules are changing overnight. And we are saying that, look, if we remain in this party, we have no political future. And there is nothing to show that those who are going there at our own expense are doing anything tangible to merit our continued loyalty
to them.
So to that extent, we are bound by morality and perhaps by even the law to say, look, we are walking out of this place. But the fact is that where you have right, the other side of right is wrong. So people will use the same vehicle to achieve both the positive thing and the negative thing.
Okay.
But the fact is that the Nigerian state itself, state itself continues to create spaces for these shenanigans to thrive. It's a pity. And again, like we said now, INEC is budgeting 25 million naira or so to prosecute election offenders. It means that they are willing to allow people who, between 2015 and now, I think they've prosecuted probably only 20 or so. See, so
it brought to mind a research, and part of the recommendations made then, I think classical theory, that when you want to plan, you should always make contingencies for the best case scenario and not the worst case scenario. This seems to be the worst case scenario, where you're already saying that there will be election
contest
and all that, and then you have to make set money aside to even address that problem.
But you see what happened in Rivers State.
Why not make your operations
The
watertight?
truth of the matter
is it even possible in Nigeria?
The truth of the matter is that, like the INEC people know, Nigerians will always contest elections. Nigerians are never good losers. They are bad losers. So that is the reason why that dedicated amount is saying we would.
No, but you see, I think there's something about electoral offenses, as opposed to when they say, I didn't lose the election, let's go to court. INEC will join in the suit. like
very well. Yes, because all parties in the subject matter must be before the court.
Yes.
Okay, now this takes us to the issue of voter enlightenment now. On one of the papers this morning, it gave us a breakdown. I think Daily Trust gave us a breakdown of how many PVCs are still left uncollected.
Yes.
In fact, in the Southwest, I think Southwest has
The highest,
number
figure.
of PVCs uncollected. And Southwest is the same region that has the highest number of, if you may put it, enlightened people who should have been very, very out front there in the collection of PVCs. How do we reconcile all of this?
Let me tell you straight away that Nigerians, and particularly people of Southwest, have this tendency to do things a little bit late. Those PVCs will be collected, because I hear from government agencies that they will insist that chairman of local government area where PVCs have not been collected and there is so much will be put to task. I think the Southwest has a way of getting what they must do done.
Okay.
I think that one will be. I'm not talking about other part of Nigeria, but I know that the people in Southwest will.
South.
Yeah, okay, see the breakdown. Southwest has the highest with about over 3 million PVCs uncollected. South has 1.1 million. Southeast has 798,000. Northwest has 652,000. And the Northeast has 320,000. And North Central has 918,000. Now, with all of this, INEC has budgeted about 2 or 3 billion naira for voter enlightenment. How do you assess the engagement of INEC in trying to let people understand what all of these things are?
No, I personally, as someone who has always been interested in social mobilization, it is non-existent. I stand to be corrected. I don't know if there's any jingle running anywhere.
I've not had
I've
in
not
the last 1 month.
I have not received any SMS from INEC anytime to say, go and register, or go and collect a PVC, or, because these things just have a way of,
I know some religious organizations are now telling their members, some even left, put down buses for members who couldn't afford it to go to, as far back as 4 months ago, February or thereabout. But then, if you recall, talking about sensitization, recall before the 2015, I think it was even before the 2011 general election, there was so much sensitization that even media organizations had different jingles then that they produced
because they were
by
engaged.
themselves.
They were engaged.
Because they were engaged.
INEC engaged media organizations.
Because they were engaged. You see, if we want to approach the issue realistically, these religious groups, those are like protest groups now. But the fact is that INEC has, those are interventionisms.
Yes.
INEC as a body has a directorate, has a responsibility to enlighten and educate Nigerians. Not just about the electoral, for every 4 years or every election cycle is one thing. Voter enlightenment ought to be an ongoing process. It's a good thing that they brought about this continued voter registration, but throughout, this supposed to be a perennial process to continue to engage with us. And if you look at uncollected PVCs in 2015, by now they should have said that we bring PVCs to your doorstep.
Yes.
Even in public relations, you'll be told that if the person that you're trying to sell a product is unaware of the product, it is not his fault. The fault is on you, the marketer, the salesman, the PR person.
Doing what you should be doing.
Because you're supposed to reach him. And there are many media to reach the people.
It's like the example you gave earlier on. We see this immunization of babies and so on.
You go to the people
they
themselves.
Go to every home.
Exactly. Yes.
So it shouldn't be difficult because every voter card has an address.
Exactly. Of course it does. But the
some
least you
people have
could
relocated.
do, like I said, interagency networking, the least you could do is to partner with relevant agencies and send out bulk SMSs, which even people like us can do. Send out SMSs and say, look, please, if INEC even goes to radio and TV and media and newspapers and say, help us, in the spirit of corporate social responsibility, we will do it.
Do it, yes.
But they're not engaging. And that, see, this is not just a moral failure. It is a fraud in its own right. Because whether you are wittingly or unwittingly disenfranchising the vote, and you, that is the agency of government, disempowering the voter from knowing what he should do to get his vote to vote, it is you are compromising his capacity to make informed choices. You know why? Because the fact is that we have our level of non-education and literacy is quite high. So that you don't realize that it's your responsibility to now wake up and do what you should do you can't be excused from not doing what you should have done.
Absolutely.
But that's your
Because-
responsibility.
Yes.
All right, quickly, Mr. Muni, still talking about this INEC budget. Something, caught my attention when Professor Mahmoud Yakubu was defending the budget. He said that one of the reasons was because of the high number of political parties, about 91. And then you wonder, INEC just approved the new 23 political parties, and the number just came to 91, and the budget had been released before that.
And he said these 31 new ones will not participate in this
Election.
And then you were defending that 91 political parties.
That's the nature of those who run our affairs. Sometimes they speak before thinking, because I don't see how it goes together. Yes.
All right, we have to leave it here now.
Okay.
Admumuni, Adetokumba Mumuni, Executive Director, Serap, thank you so much for coming on the
It's a
program.
pleasure.
Yeah.
And Cyril Abaku, Senior Researcher, TVC, thank you so much.
Thank you,
joining.
gentlemen. Thank you for coming.
Right.
All right. Coming up on the show.
All right, we will certainly be talking about the issues or the deadline for the collection of permanent voter cards. And it's just 10 days away, and Nigerians are frantic to register for and claim their PVCs.
But some are lamenting the difficulty of the process and want another extension of the deadline. How easy was it for you to obtain your PVC? That's next after this break. Stay with us.